Okay, this video is going to be discussing the mechanics of supply and demand. The key idea here with all these videos that you'll be watching is that the video is meant to complement the reading or study of the material that's in the text or the readings. This is not a substitute. So, in talking about supply and demand, what we're going to focus on is just the basic mechanics of supply and demand. We have the demand curve, which represents all the behaviors of consumers in a market. Downward sloping. And then we have the supply curve, which aggregates all firm behavior in a particular market, and it's upward sloping. So the key thing is that for both of these curves, what we have to see in this model is that everyone is responding to a price. A firm hears a price and then decides how much quantity to supply to the market based on the underlying idea of profit maximization. Consumers hear a price, and that determines the total quantity demanded for that good at that particular price based on this idea of utility maximization, something we'll talk about later. So the key thing is everyone's responding to a price independently based on their behaviors, based on what they're trying to maximize. That determines the quantity, and based on what those quantities are, we'll see if we have surplus, shortage, or if we have equilibrium. So we'll start with a price. So P1. So at P1, consumers, based on their demand curve, are demanding a certain amount of quantity. They hear the price, they respond with a quantity demand. At that same price, firms operating independently will determine a quantity supplied based on profit maximization, independent of what consumers are doing, and that determines the quantity supplied. What we have in this case is quantity supplied does not equal quantity demanded. So when we have a certain price that's high, what we have is quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded, which is what we have is a surplus. So that means there's more product in the market than what is demanded, which basically makes sense because we have a high price. When prices are high, consumers generally demand less of a good. So we have a surplus when the price is generally high. Next, we'll have a different kind of price. So let's say P2. So again, everyone is responding to a price. At the price P2, which was below P1, now consumers, and we'll get rid of this here, consumers are now demanding a larger amount of the good than before because the price has come down. Conversely, producers are supplying less than they did before because the price has come down, which again makes sense. So what we have in this case, when the price is below a certain point, we have the quantity supplied is greater than the quantity demanded, which gives us a shortage. So there's more demand for the good than is actually supplied to the market. So again, this is what happens when the price is below a certain point. So that leaves us with the third case, which is the case, we'll just say this P sub E, PE, and QE. So we'll say we have at a given price this equilibrium price. The equilibrium price is such that it's the point where the quantity supplied is exactly equal to the quantity demanded, which means that the markets are clearing, that there's no shortage of a good, there's no surplus of a good, markets clear. The amount demanded is exactly equal to the amount supplied. So we call this the equilibrium price. So again, everyone's responding to a price and determining their quantity. Okay? So at this equilibrium price, markets clear, markets function.